for that. Senator Smith.
Thank you very much, Chair. If I understood Senator Lundy's question correctly just recently, she was asking for a metropolitan country breakdown of the redundancies or job losses. It would be good to have that in two groups. Those redundancies, job losses initiated under the previous government, and I think they were to the tune of 14,500 unannounced secret redundancy plans, and those of the new government that have been necessary to correct the parlous budget position. Is it possible to break them into those two sets?
No, Senator.
Not at all?
We won't know. All that we know is that someone has left.
But what you can be assured of is that the vast bulk, 14,500 out of the 16,500, will be Senator Lundy's
government
gift to the public service.
Thanks very much. Thanks very much, Minister. I just want to go to the issue of how the Public Service Commission is spending its money, if I might, Mr. Sedgwick. And I want to start by talking first about the special workshop on mental fitness. Can anyone help me in regards to the special workshop on mental fitness that was offered by the APSC? Shall I share with you a little about the mental fitness workshop?
We've been doing some work around assisting managers to deal with mental illness in the workplace. It could have been part of that work. It's been ongoing for a couple of years now.
Well, this special workshop, the mental fitness at work, building your strength, flexibility and endurance, positive psychology, is a scientific study of human flourishing and an applied approach to optimal functioning. It has also been defined as the study of the strengths and virtues that enable individuals, community and organisations to thrive. Mental fitness is a proactive, positive concept which, and I won't mention the lady's name, through her research has defined and framed in a way that can help to improve well-being and optimal functioning. Join us for a lively, interactive and practical workshop facilitated by this particular individual herself. I'm just curious to know how many people attended the course.
You have us at a disadvantage, Senator.
I think it's from the Australian Public Service Commission website.
We're quite happy to track that one down for you. It sounds like a course that we might provide to people who are prepared to pay for it.
Yeah, so I'd be interested to know how many people attended the course, what prerequisites might have been necessary to attend the course, if any, whether participants took leave from work to attend, and whether or not, sir, $12,724 of taxpayers' money, which was paid to the facilitator, might be considered value for money.
I don't know what that course is, Senator, so let's look into it and we'll come back to you.
Great. I'd just like to turn then to...
But we do have an issue. We do have an issue in our workforce around the management of mental health conditions.
And my questioning in no way detracts from the seriousness of mental health issues for everybody in the Australian workplace. But my question does go to value of money.
No, I understand.
And of course, in that vein, it would be interesting to know what post-course assessments might have been done in terms of the success or otherwise of $12,000 worth of money for a facilitator. I just want to move on then to, I'm not familiar with these places, but Pepper's Manor House and, do we say Craigieburn Resort?
Yep, there are places up near Barrel.
Right. A review of AusTender identifies that the Australian Public Service Commission may have spent just over $320,000 at Pepper's, I think we call it Pepper's Manor House, for various training activities. Are you familiar with that, Mr. Sedgwick?
I'm not familiar with that number, but it is certainly true that for a number of programs, in usually quite intensive, quite senior programs, that we use facilities in Bowral to run residential programs,
Where is Pepper's Manor House?
It's up near Bowral.
Right. But by any stretch of the imagination, $320,000 seems like a lot of money to be spending on the acquiring of venues for training courses. Does anyone else at the
Senator,
table?
we take very senior public servants on very intensive leadership development programs. These are quite intensive. They last quite a number of days.
And the expensive nature of the venue correlates to the success of the training course?
No. The fact that you've taken people outside of their workplace and you've given them the opportunity to spend time, quite some hours in the day, dealing, and not just dealing with, but learning from each other and having some quite... we talk about the being space. So we talk about putting people in the position where they get to understand themselves as leaders in quite intensive ways. Now, I don't know where the 300,000 number comes from.
Tender, sir.
But I do know that the programs that I have in mind are very highly regarded. They're regarded as providing great value for money. They have been completely reinvented in the last 12 months, and they are in fact 12 months, 2 years, and they are in fact a small part of an intervention that lasts for 6 or 9 months. Not wanting to interrupt,
but I suspect the test of value for money is not yours nor mine, but a community test for value for money. And $320,000 being spent at Pepper's Manor House does, in my mind, give rise to inquiry and, at the very least, explanation. So I'm keen to understand how many times it's been necessary to go to Pepper's Manor House, how many individuals attended, and why this venue was preferred over any other venue.
Quite happy to answer those questions, Senator, and I can tell you that those particular interventions have been highly successful.
Great. So then, Lake Krakenbach Resort.
Yep.
Whereabouts is that located?
Little Lake Krakenbach.
I don't know, so excuse my ignorance being a West Australian Senator.
On its way to the snow.
Right, okay, so closer than Pepper's Manor House?
Oh, they'll be about the same, I suspect.
Right, okay, so $90,000 spent over the last 3 years at Lake Krakenbach Resort. And again, I'd be keen to understand how many people went, what was the nature of the
Certainly,
training.
Senator.
I just want to move then to briefly to the Woden Training Centre.
Yep.
And I'm keen to understand, again, on my calculations, and I'm happy to be found incorrect, but on my calculations, it seems to me that almost $500,000, $500,000 was spent on catering from the, do we say Idelic or Idelic, I-D-E-L-I-C cafe in Kingston? So I'm not too sure if it's near Woden. It's not in Woden, because it would be the Idyllic Cafe in Woden. So I'm just wondering, sir, again, why catering costs for a Public Service Commission training centre in Woden are being sourced from Kingston. Perhaps the sandwiches are exemplary, I don't know. But why is that happening, and at what seems to me such exorbitant costs? So,
well,
if I might just, sir, catering cost 18th of October 2011 to 30 December 2011, banquet and catering services $47,500.
Well, we run a lot of courses in that training centre.
Sir,
we have thousands and thousands of people through that training centre.
I don't argue against there being many sandwiches for many courses, but the question must be asked. Is this expense necessary? And it does strike me as a very, very significant quantum of money.
When you run a lot of courses with a lot of people, you can run up lots of money.
Well, I think...
But the point is that nonetheless they can constitute good value for money. Now, we're quite happy to come back and answer your questions.
That would be very good, because $500,000 over 3 years for a cafe proprietor sounds like a very, very successful business.
We are a large trainer. We are a large provider of training facilities.
Well, sir, if you could give me an idea of what that per trainee cost looked like, that might be a very, very reasonable defence. Okay. But on the surface of it, this looks like extreme waste.
And I disagree with you. I'm sorry, that's just a unjustified slur.
And the explanation. So I'd just like to move on briefly, if I could, then to training centre chairs. Training centre chairs and $42,000 worth of training centre chairs. It doesn't tell me how many chairs. But I'm just wondering if anyone can provide me with an explanation of whether they are.
We'll answer that question on notice, Senator.
Fantastic. Thanks very much. So you can appreciate, sir, that in the current environment, people have been asked to make reductions in their expenditure. There's been lots of commentary about the suitability of the additional efficiency dividend or otherwise, and it does look like that over the last 3 years, and I'm happy to be corrected, it does look like some people have been...
I'm sorry, Senator, that is not fair.
We
run a major business, and that is just not fair.
But I'm wondering, sir, whether or not Peppers Manor House, Lake Crackenback Resort really withstand public scrutiny in the environment, not just that we're currently in, but in the previous environment that we're in.
I think you'll find that the facilities that they offer are exactly what we need for the kind of purposes that are run. In fact, you'll probably find that in most times they're actually booked by corporates.
Right. Shareholder money, sir, is very, very... The expenditure around shareholder money is very, very different to the expenditure around taxpayer money. So it'll be very, very interesting to hear what the defence is. So thanks very much, Chair.